Every serious trader goes on a pursuit of a successful trading journey, and every pursuit has a price that you have to pay. And trading is no different. The problem is that most people find out the cost of the journey after they've already paid it or starting to pay it. This episode is about knowing the price upfront so you can choose to pay it instead of being surprised by it. That's what we're going to talk about today. No holds barred. I'm going to let you in on the secrets of the journey of trading and what it's going to cost you. Information you'll likely find nowhere else because people don't want you to know this. Let's dive in to the Mind Over Markets podcast. Trade pros, welcome to Mind Over Markets. I'm George Popazov, founder and CEO of TRADEPRO Academy, which also sponsors this podcast. I've been trading since 2001, spent 5 years as a licensed trader at a trading desk. On this podcast, we're covering both trading psychology, order flow analysis, and the institutional edge that separates consistent traders from everyone else. Check out TRADEPRO Academy. So we're going to start out the podcast today by talking about the first cost. And it's the one that most people will probably resonate with and have thought about or considered to some extent, the financial cost. All right, we're not talking about just losing trades, not the financial cost of being in the market and taking trades and positions, because the tuition phase of this whole trading journey is real. And frankly, it could be expensive. And the price that you pay for your journey and the tuition part of it is a price that you decide, whether it's subconscious or you've actually given it thought. If you haven't given it thought, chances are it's a subconscious level type of payment. You're going to be paying for education. How much and how long you pay for is a direct result of the decisions that you make before you even begin trading. Financially, there's another cost to consider. It's the opportunity cost of day trading. This is the income that you didn't earn while you were learning to trade. And this one is ignored by a lot of people and a lot of traders, but depending on when you find the markets and when you find trading for yourself, your opportunity cost might be greater than trading itself. If you have a project that could earn you a good return and monetize a skill set or a specific opportunity that's time limited, there's a good chance that giving that up for trading is gonna put more pressure on your trading and your entire journey, because you're giving something up that you never know how it would have went, especially if there was opportunity there. And the opportunity cost is one of the things most traders don't think about. They get excited by this whole trading journey. They'll jump in and they'll start getting the signal rooms and trying to find the secret holy grail strategy that works. People will underestimate how long the investment phase lasts before it returns anything in trading. All right, and this is where we talk about you got the choice how expensive or how cheap or how much you're gonna pay for this quote unquote trading journey. If you're first starting out and you haven't thought about it, many traders go to prop firms too early. They go to prop firms saying, I'm not gonna put any of my own capital down. I'm gonna limit my financial exposure by paying, $120 to gain access to other capital if I could pass the combine or evaluation period. And it seems to make sense. But last couple weeks, I've encountered traders who spend $10,000 plus on prop firms and are still trying to find consistency. So this kind of thing didn't happen by them planning to do it. It happened by the lack of having a plan financially. The losing trades are part of the journey once you actually start trading, but before that as well, it's important to have realistic expectations on just how long it's going to take. It's important at the beginning to give yourself a period of time where you're learning and it's okay. Because if you start putting pressure on yourself to learn faster and get into live trading, the part of your journey that's the most critical and important becomes high pressure as well. And trading comes with enough pressure that you don't need to put more on yourself during the learning phase. Celebrate getting 1% better every day. Celebrate getting to know the market just a little bit better day by day, and you'll find that you'll be ready quicker than trying to force it, going live, creating damaging habits and trying to undo them and going back to the learning phase anyways. Probably one of the most important tips I could give you here and one of the most important things of the financial costs. But there is a financial cost that you're not taking advantage of in way of your opportunity cost, but also the financial cost of your education. If you haven't thought about it, I want you to stop and think about how much money am I willing to invest trying to prove myself to a trading firm to give me capital? How much money am I willing to invest in courses? How much time am I willing to invest to learn? How much is it worth to me to learn this properly if I actually will ever do it successfully for the long term? It's an important question only you get to decide. Because I hear a lot of stories from our members that have spent $50,000, $60,000 on education and don't feel like they're any better off than when they started, because this industry speaks to the lizard brain, and there's very good marketers who will convince you that without this product you'll never succeed, but that's not real education. Nobody can teach you to trade. People could just guide you with a strategy. The real teacher is the market itself. The real teacher is the application of the trading strategy to the market. That's where you're gonna learn the most. Don't front load the expenses of an education at the beginning. If anyone's asking for high ticket items, that's not the right move for your journey. And we talked about this on the last podcast. The second thing we're going to talk about that nobody tells you about trading, and really the price of trading that no one talks about, is actually the time cost. And to me, this one is a lot more important, because there's a lot of things you could buy with money and having more money. So you could sell yourself the dream and the promise. You could get just about anything except time. You could never buy more time. So this one to me is the most important, right? Trading will demand more time than it appears from the outside. When you first get into trading, you never get into the industry. Well, most people don't, and I wish they would, but they never get in with the mindset, this is gonna take a long time. I'm gonna keep pushing. I'm gonna figure it out. I believe in myself. I'm gonna do this. They always get in with the mindset of having never considered trading, or having a loose interest in their mind, searching something on Google once or twice and telling the algorithm, I want trading stuff to appear. And then you get flooded. You're scrolling through your phone. It's like, this is the one strategy that you need. Join my mastermind VIP plus diamond and I'll show it to you all for 99 cents. And then you buy it and then you get upsold on the next product. Well, this was actually just the beginning, but you need this thing that's next, which is $4,000. And then you buy it and you're like, you know what? It's kind of nice, but I know I could have learned this. Behind the paywall is nothing fascinating. I don't feel like I'm progressing. I'm learning, but I'm not progressing closer to my journey. I'm going wide, but I'm not going deep. And then you spend the $20,000, the $30,000, and you feel the same way. If you start out and you tell yourself, this is gonna take longer than I think it will. I don't know what I'm getting into, but I know there's people who do it professionally and have been doing it a long time. So maybe, just maybe, I'm not gonna get into a Discord signal room and be successful tomorrow copying somebody's trades. Maybe, just maybe, I'm gonna actually have to put in a real effort, just like anything else I've done in my life that's been good. You have any success stories in your life, whether it's relationships or past businesses, they all came with TIME, dedication, putting time in, sweat equity. Trading is the exact same thing. You're underestimating how long it'll take, but you're overestimating how difficult it really is. It's not as difficult as you think. You're just searching for the little tidbits that make you these vast, big promises, and you're putting yourself at the exact same spot months later, delaying your real progress in education, having spent thousands of dollars out of pocket. The session is just the tip. Like if you think about it in terms of time, when you're actually starting to day trade, from the outside, it's gonna take long. You're gonna think it takes less time, but it's okay. I'm here to tell you, understand right now, it's gonna take you a little bit longer than you anticipated. All right, allow that to be okay. Allow yourself to learn through that. Allow yourself to learn this thoroughly, because when it comes time to executing and you start experiencing the real life emotions, your education is going to come and help you out. The fact you didn't rush the initial phase is going to be supportive of you when you need it most, rather than realizing, uh-oh, I missed a big piece. I got to go back, or forget it. I'm going to overlook it. When you go and you hit your first challenge, when you go into real-time trading, instead of feeling like you're afraid or let down or vulnerable, you're going to feel supported, because you put the time in. You deserve it. You know, the other time cost is time away from family, time away from hobbies, time away from social life, right? Especially in the building years. And yeah, I said years. It will take you 1 to 2 years to get this down, to be consistent enough, to be confident where your normal life is gonna return to having some time. Now look, here's the crazy part about trading. When you eventually trade and quit your job from it, you know, you're really only trading from, analysis starts at 8:30 to 9 a.m. to 11. Yes, you could trade the afternoon as well, but more trades doesn't mean more money. So you could choose to just trade 2.5 hours a day and be done with it. That 2.5 hour a day easy schedule is a great selling point for webinars, but it takes you an awfully long time to get there. That's not gonna be your next step. You have many other steps to get to before you get the right to be in that step. You have to earn your right to be in that step. It's not a given. There's no secret magic way that you're gonna get there. The time cost up front until you get consistent is going to mean less time with family, less time with friends. In my 20s, there was nothing around for trading education. I had to learn by joining a Scotia Capital, which is a trading firm, get licensed with IROC, go through a 5-hour compliance interview with my compliance senior director, and go through all these stages just to have a chance to learn. These days, you're flooded with information, but that information doesn't necessarily serve you. All right. And I remember in my 20s, people were going out and partying and having a fun time. And I said, my 20s aren't for having fun. My 20s are for building up my foundation and monetizing it. My 20s are for working my ass off and working hard. My 30s are for making that money. All the time I've invested, making it pay off. I knew it would take me years. And in my 30s is when I first became a millionaire. That was my first $35 million. I didn't even know. My accountant's like, hey, did you know you made $1 million this year? I'm like, no, not really. I'm too busy to care. It was disappointing how underwhelming it felt because it didn't really matter. I loved what I was doing. That was more important to me than the money. So it's going to cost you time away from the market, from your family, from your friends. It's okay as long as you know that going in. It's impossible to balance everything and be a high performer because when you become a trader, you're becoming a high performer. You have to leave behind the version of you that didn't expect performance. All right. If you think about it, you're becoming an athlete overnight. So the version of you that would sit on the couch and this has to make an appearance every podcast, eating potato chips with crumbs in your belly button, that version of you have to leave behind before you succeed trading. The quicker you decide, I'm going to leave the non-performing version of myself in the past and I'm going to switch to be the high performer, the quicker the realm of successful trading is and the closer it is in front of you. It's really that simple. Making those sacrifices with your time, with your hobbies, and dedicating to trading is the way to do it. That's how you become a high performer. You watch athletes and a lot of people say, oh, I wish I could have been an athlete, or I wish I could play the sport, or you enjoy watching the game. And we criticize these athletes, but we don't put in the workload they do. We don't do practice. We don't do training, rehab, injuries. We don't deal with the stuff with the pressure of the media. We have no idea what it's like to be a performer. We just get to critique and enjoy for entertainment their actual performance. Well, you got to become the athlete behind the scenes and do the rest of the things that they're used to doing. Being a trader is very close to being an athlete. And I've interviewed some great athletes on this podcast, and it's crazy the similarities in the routine, the prep, and really what goes into it. That's the time cost. You don't get those hours back that you invest, which means they have to mean something. The great thing about making the sacrifice is if you do the sacrifice, you give yourself the best shot to succeed in trading in the long term. The best shot to make the investment of your time and financial costs be worth the return in the long run, but it's not going to be as quick as you expect. The next one gets really interesting. This is the price of trading no one tells you about. And this is the third part I want to talk about. It's the relationship cost. Your partners, your family, your friends, your inner circle of people that you trust and love are going to feel the most emotional residue of your trading. Whether you think about it, whether you like it, or whether you plan to do it or not, they're going to feel it. You're going to put burden on them when you become a high performer. And the results you want to achieve in your head aren't the immediate reality. When your goals and aspirations are way bigger than your present, you're going to put yourself and be susceptible in vulnerable moments. Your partners are going to absorb that. Your friends, that it's going to happen. That's just part of the business because you're learning how to be a performer. Now, it's important in this phase that you don't hide this from your partner. From the very first day I met my wife, now wife, then girlfriend, then fiance, she knew what I was doing and working towards, and she supported me. She supported the fact that some months might be tougher at the beginning because we're not working a 9-to-5 job. I have a real cool story. I was out with one of my friends when I quit Scotia Capital. We met up with one of my friends and his wife and me and my fiance at the time. And my friend's wife said to her, how are you guys comfortable with both being entrepreneurs and variable income? She goes, how are you not worried about not being paid every 2 weeks? And what my wife said is groundbreaking to me. I kind of looked at her and I was shocked. She said, oh, honey, I get paid every day. All right. And that was a great reframe. I get paid every day. We're performers. We get paid on a daily basis. And nothing is more true than that than trading itself. But during the phase where you're building up, you are going to have your family feel a little bit more of the strain. Don't hide it from them, because when you hide what you're doing from them, when you do have the tough days, they're going to think something's wrong. And the thing that they think is wrong is always going to be worse than trading. Always. They're going to assume way worse things. And if you try to not tell them about trading, it's going to look like you're hiding, and even worse things. That's the quickest way to have an intervention at a family dinner because you're trying to hide something. Don't hide it. Be upfront about it. Tell people I'm becoming a high performer. The good news for you is if you stick around and support me, the version of me that you get is going to be one of the highest performers you've ever known. That's going to be the reward for you and for me. And when I become a high performer, you're going to be around somebody that's a high performer. It's going to help your life, and you're going to reap the benefits of somebody that's a high performer, right? Especially for a partner, a spouse, etc. But you do have to tell them the cost of what you're going to have to give up, the financial investment you're going to have to make, the time investment it's going to require, and the relationship costs and strain, and commit to them that you're going to keep trying to work on the relationship and open communication for them to tell you when there's a challenge, when things are breaking down beyond your perception. As a high performer, we get focused and dedicated on one thing so much that when it comes down to actually, thinking outside of ourselves, it's difficult at times. We miss on how we made somebody else feel. All right. So it's very important that you have straight up communication with the people you love about this, and that you don't hide it. This is another thing here, the relationship cost. Most people close to you love you, but they don't understand, and they never will understand what you're building. And that gap could create friction for you. They're never gonna understand you fully. Now think about being an athlete, because this is the direct comparison that people don't realize, because when you're becoming a trader, you're becoming an athlete, all right? A mental athlete. You don't have to be in physical shape, but even being in physical shape makes you a great trader as well. What's gonna end up happening is there's gonna be a little bit of friction that gets created. Know this from the start. The more you perform at a higher level, the lonelier it gets. The less people that will relate to you, the more people that you're gonna look at in your circle and say, wow, this is a really good friend of mine, but all they're doing is taking my energy and they give nothing back. When you become a high performer, and I'm warning you about this before you go down this journey, when you become a high performer, you're gonna see that most friendships have actually been set up where they're taking from you. And when you have not much left to give because you're putting it all in your own performance, some of the early relationship strains are the fact you have nothing to give these people. But this is the time when they should offer to give you something, to give you some support, to be somebody that they could talk to, that you could talk to openly, somebody that propels you to move forward. You never want a friend in life that lets you cry on their shoulder. You want a friend in life that stops you from crying on their shoulder and propels you forward to progress. It's one of the biggest realizations to me. I lost a lot of friends. I fell out of touch with a lot of people I never thought that I would, because our paths just diverged so much, openly and honestly. And it's not like I made one decision, I'm gonna cut everybody else off, but over time we fell out of touch. The group of people I know now, I would have never been able to assume that this is the group that would have grew into me with. Be open to this gap that gets created and have a plan on how you're gonna deal with it. It does come. This is the reality of this business, all right? And it's really the reality of success. This isn't just trading, this is success mindset as well. Next thing that you don't realize of what it's gonna cost is the identity cost. Trading is gonna change who you think you are. This part I'm telling you for sure. I always tell people that as a result of successfully trading, the least benefit I've gotten out of it is the financial benefit. The best benefit is the opportunity to change my routine, the opportunity to be self-aware enough to know when I need to change, the opportunity to be self-aware enough to know when I'm performing high, to not get too high, when I'm going through a low, to not let myself get too low. It's the benefit of consistent personality, the consistent perception, the consistent connection with the moment right now. I don't think there's any other industry other than sports that allows you to stay in the now, right? I don't worry about the future. It might never come in the version that I worry about anyways. I don't worry about the past. There's nothing I could do there. I'm always centered in the moment. And when I'm doing my best and performing at my best, I'm right here, right now, in this very moment. The timeline doesn't shift too far out. The more it shifts, the more I know I'm going on tilt. Resetting into the now is the most important thing. This is who you become. You start out wanting to trade and you end up becoming a trader. And to some people, that's like, oh, it's not a big takeaway, but think about what it really means. It means your identity changes. And once your identity changes, your values change, your beliefs, your environment changes, the people you're around, your relationships, everything trickles down. So you are making change at one of the highest levels of yourself possible. Now, if you don't do this intentionally and allow the identity to be molded backwards from the environment, from the values, from the beliefs, and then it gets created, you're gonna create an identity of somebody who fears to perform, somebody who fears the stage. If you take the regular route, you have to be intentional about this from day one. And the way you have to be intentional at the beginning is you have to be aware enough to see who you're becoming before you become that person. You have to know who you want to become. And who you want to become means, what are you doing this for? When you're making crazy money as a trader, the kind you never imagined possible, who will you be then? You'll have stretches where you genuinely don't know if you have what it takes. This happens, all right? If you think about performance in general, if you think about athletes, they go through this on a daily basis. I always tell people, you want to learn the most about trading? Listen to athletic performance podcasts. My performance psychology and mindset podcast. Those ones will teach you more about trading than any single trading book or trading course. Right? I don't believe in trading psychology. I believe in performance psychology. Trading psychology is just a manifestation of performance psychology. It's the same thing. It's just a way of giving your ego excuses to think there's something wrong that's very specific to trading, but it's not. It's performance psychology. People who perform at variable income, like sports, poker, are people who perform well at trading. That's why prop firms back in the days, when it wasn't just a pay simulator account, would hire athletes. They would hire poker players. Poker players knew risk management. Athletes knew process. They knew discipline. They knew strategy. They knew how to execute it. There's no discipline, lack, or breakdown of here's a strategy, why didn't you do it? If you look at athletes, here's a strategy. You tried to execute it. How well did you execute it? And all you're looking for feedback on is, here's a strategy, here's what I did. How do I get closer to the strategy and better at it? It's your only goal as an athlete. The benefit is you have coaching. In trading, you don't. You're the coach as well. And most people don't hire any coaches or any outside info other than Discord signal channels. But I'll tell you this, genuinely not believing whether you'll make it is going to challenge your identity as a top performer, but it's not really a weakness. All right. It's the process stripping away ego that gets and turns into something real. I used to have ego. Was a challenge of mine. The way that I grew up, the ego was actually a protection mechanism. Came off arrogant and a little like off kilter, but it really was protecting me. It was rooted in protection and survival. I gave up that ego. Trading got so much easier for me. I actually don't have ego now, to a fault almost sometimes. I'll let people say funny things and everyone have a laugh at it, and I'm just like, all right, like I'm not really bothered. And you know, the cost of that is, again, relationships. I don't really have too many friends, but guess what? I'm so busy focusing on performance, focusing on my business, focusing on my kids. I don't really have time for average friends. Athletes are friends with athletes because they understand each other. I don't have time for an average friend. I want the best performer possible to be my friend. I have few friends, but my God, do we accomplish a lot of things together, right? Very few friends, but we're all very successful in different ways. And we support each other. That's what you're going for. You're looking for a mastermind, not a friendship. The cost of your identity is going to be comfort. You're getting into a life of variable income. You're getting into life constantly enhancing your performance, right? Constant criticism of yourself, wanting more, and then delivering a certain thing and adjusting. It's a high performer life that lasts a lifetime. It's not a period that you're going to get through. It's really a process that you're going to have to adopt, and you become that process. So it becomes easier. But the cost that you're giving up with this new performer identity is comfort. But you pay for that comfort through having the opportunity to have certainty, to have control, to be in direct control of financial well-being. Most people want money, but they don't want control of that money and those assets. They just want to be at a beach and money coming in and they can make a phone call and their Lamborghini gets delivered. That doesn't come to people who live in comfort. That comes to people who live in high performance. Don't ever look at a high performer in his battery recharging moment and decide that's their life. That's the exception. It's not the rule. The billionaire on the yacht you might think has such a great life. Somebody probably forced him to take that vacation. Somebody said to him, hey, we haven't hung out a lot, man. Please, like, have some downtime. You're going to burn out. And they're on the freaking yacht that you're looking at and they're probably thinking about work. How do I know that? That's what I do on vacations. You're going to become that person too. It's inevitable with successful trading. The next one we're going to look at is the emotional cost. This is a sustained uncertainty and exhaustion in a way that's hard to explain to somebody who hasn't lived it. Like the emotional cost of what you're going to give up in trading. It's so hard to tell somebody who hasn't experienced it, and you probably already have that experience. You directly have that experience just being here on the podcast and knowing what you do. The emotional bandwidth that trading requires leaves less for everyone else. And this is kind of picks up on relationships. The friends who need you emotionally all the time, you're not going to have much left for those friends. You're really not. You're not going to have any pity. You're not going to have any remorse for people needing your emotionality. Because if it was you in that situation, and it is every single day, there's no time to dwell in despair. You go, all right, it happened. How do we bounce back? You're immediately flipping your mindset to forward growth. You don't have time to sit there and spin your wheels in the mud. When somebody starts to ask for that kind of emotionality, to dump on you and be like, can we just talk for an hour? I want to pick your brain, and end up dumping on you for 5 hours. I can't do this. I feel like I can't achieve this. I feel like my life is this. The situation now where you're like, that's so sad, I feel bad for them. You're gonna look at that and you're gonna be like, I don't feel bad for you at all. Let's start working. I don't have time to feel bad for you. All I have time is to help you find solutions. Because if I start feeling bad for you today and I give you my emotional energy and I have a bad trading day tomorrow, I'm gonna start feeling bad for myself. And guess what happens when you start feeling bad? The longer you spend feeling bad, the more bad things you create. That's how you get in a rut. The way you get in a rut is to have bad results and feel bad about those results. If you have bad results and you find ways to feel good about it and turn it into forward momentum, it's impossible to get into a rut. You're not gonna allow yourself for that to happen. The way that you get into these bad swings of momentum is allowing other people to pull you down there. It takes one drop of coffee in a big giant bucket, a gallon bucket of water, and it'll murky it. It'll turn murky. It'll tint it. It'll taint it. One drop of somebody draining your emotional energy or negative feed looping you on the way back is enough to weeks of progress being stifled as a top performer. And that's the emotional cost, all right? You don't have enough bandwidth to give others. It becomes lonely, but guess what? You put your emotional energy into yourself and you become a better performer. Most people will look at you and they'll say you changed. Oh, what happened to the old John or the old George? Oh, what happened to that person? That person's no longer getting emotional garbage dumped on them. The garbage dump is closed. That person is forward and growth oriented. The period between finding friends like you, new friends or new circles, and transitioning from friendships that may not work for you, some of them will survive. You know what? You probably have top performer friends already, but you wouldn't be expecting who those friends are. But the period of realizing people are draining you emotionally and it's impacting your performance, to I'm gonna find new people, that period is very lonely. Find friends in like-minded communities, start growing together, and man, are two performers working with one another, the kind of energy that gets created, the kind of spillover effect in your whole life is insane. It gives me goosebumps thinking about what two performers together could accomplish. You get a team. We're talking about sports, you get a team. Also, you're going to be putting so much of your emotional energy into yourself, you're going to start to feel burnout at one point. It's real. It usually shows up as recklessness in your trading or paralysis. It's not really tiredness. Not like, oh, I'm tired, because you're a fighter. You're going to be a trader and become a successful one. Your identity becomes a fighter. And as a fighter, you're always going to want to fight, right? You're going to say, I'm going to scrap my way through this. I don't care what it's going to take. It's such a good feeling of confidence. I'm going to be okay no matter what. But it comes at the cost of burning out emotional capital for yourself. All right, it comes at the cost of burning out. This is where the friendships that you do have that are high performers end up being a benefit to you. You know, I had friends tell me, you know what, George? Just by the sound of how you are, you need a break. I'm like, bro, you're crazy. I don't need a break. All right. I had a friend before my hockey injury said, you've been going to hockey 5 to 6 days a week, and you're doing the trading stuff, and you're doing TRADEPRO Academy, and you're a great father out with your kids. You know, half the week you're spending with them and you're working till 4 a.m. every day. Something's going to give, man. I'm like, listen, bro, ain't nothing going to give. He says, you don't have to stop. He's like, I just think you should take a break. That same night I fell on my shoulder. I heard it pop. I'm like, oh, it's going to be my shoulder pad. It wasn't. Grade 2 ACL tear or shoulder not ACL, sorry. Grade 2 shoulder separation. I kind of thought about it. I'm like, did he put a hex on me? Maybe, but it was true. I did need a break, and your friends are going to check you if they're high performers. And the last thing, the other side of everything is every cost, because we've talked about costs, right? What a discouraging episode. I'll tell you this, if you're discouraged right now, it's the reality and weight of what it really takes to succeed in trading hitting you. It's probably the misalignment of you not believing you could be a top performer and either really repulsively rejecting this episode, not believing in it, or being mad at me directly. That's your ego, all right? We triggered the ego. If you are coming to terms with this and you're like, this is a negative podcast, the work that you have to do has nothing to do with trading. The work has to do with mindset, elevation, and success. Performance, becoming a performer, taking the identity on that you are going to perform. It's a variable business and it's okay because you're going to make more anyways. Understanding that working 9 to 5 means you're being consistently paid because you're being consistently underpaid. Nobody's going to consistently pay you what you're worth. The only person that has the ability to do that is you. That's the important part to realize here is yes, there's a cost. And if you're discouraged by it, the next stage of your journey is performance mindset. It's not even about trading. If you're motivated by it, you're the person that fits well, and we attract the TRADEPRO Academy. That's why it's such a high-powered community. These are people motivated to make it no matter what. These are high performers. Yeah, maybe it's a new sport for them, but they're high performers and they're gonna figure out anyways. That's the profile that succeeds like crazy in TRADEPRO Academy. That's the profile that transitions and moves quickest from now to their goal, and quickest to way beyond what they thought their goal was going to be. Tony Robbins says most people overestimate what they could achieve in 1 year and underestimate what they could achieve in 5. I believe that so much, and I want to leave you with that thought. The other side of all this is if you stay long enough and you invest long enough, you're going to stay to collect the dividends of an investment. The very few people do, but my gosh, is it a great life, all right? It's going to take you a lot to get there, but it's the kind of freedom that you thought trading would give you, but it gives it to you another way. The financial freedom doesn't give you mental freedom. Some people create financial freedom that turns into a prison for themselves. They have everything they thought they wanted, but they're stuck in a box. And that box follows them. They walk around and the rain cloud is over their head all day long. Financial success isn't happiness. And if you stick through this long enough, you're gonna find out trading is the part that benefits the least from being a high performer. It's gonna cost a lot, but the things you get, I can't describe to you. The way that you can't describe what you're feeling as a trader to a normal person, you really can't describe the beauty of success without being shackled mentally to a box. That's what trading allows you to do when you invest in this career the right way. When you give yourself enough time, give yourself enough space, give yourself less capital than you think you need. What happens on the other side is nothing short of incredible. I get goosebumps thinking about it, and I love hearing about our members that hit that stage of the journey. The discipline, the self-awareness, the ability to sit with uncertainty, these transfer to everywhere in life. You become the kind of person in life that you used to look up to and you used to think, wow, how does this person do it? Well, you're gonna find out. The cost to all this isn't just what you lose, it's what you're gonna become by paying the cost. That right there is the biggest reward. I think there's nowhere else to get in life. I love you guys so much. Next episode, we're gonna talk about what it looks like when it starts clicking, the life on the other side of the cost. All right, we're gonna get into that. That's gonna be a fun one. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Have yourself a great rest of the day. If you did like it, please comment, like, and subscribe to our podcast and leave us a rating and review on iTunes and Spotify. It helps the show reach a lot of people and build our community, and it creates better content for you. I love you so much. To high performance, cheers to you, and cheers to keep going through this journey. Now you know what it really costs. Are you willing to pay the price? And what price will that be? How quickly do you get to accepting the cost to get through into the next phase? That's it for now. Have a great day. I'll see you at the next episode. Quick disclaimer. Futures trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Nothing here is financial advice. You're responsible for your own decisions. Don't trade with capital you can't afford to lose.